It's the Tobago Updates morning show, and we are coming to you live here from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning, Caribbean. And those of you viewing us on the live, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Julian.
Good morning, Maria, folks. It's Monday, the 17th of January, 2022. And we are so thankful, Ria, and you know, we all look forward to, we've crossed that midway point in January.
Oh, yes.
And you know, January is that kind of long month that most people look forward to, the end of January. So we have officially crossed that midway point in January. Ria, over the weekend into today, we had a couple birthdays that we want to give some shout outs to. I want to start this morning. She was on with us. Of course, she brought a certain sense of energy to the set. Wishing a happy birthday. She celebrated her birthday yesterday. Stepper McConey Critchlow, that's Janelle McConey Critchlow, GCI President 2022. So we want to wish you a happy birthday, coming from the Tobago Updates family. Also sending birthday shout outs for yesterday, my colleague out there in Trinidad, Kelvin Paulson, wishing you a happy birthday, as well as in Guyana, Abigail Primo Chase, wishing you a happy birthday today. And today I also have some on the lineup as well, Ria. Jeremy Brereton out in Barbados. Good morning and happy birthday to you, coming from the Tobago Updates family. Reggie Kodjo down there in Buku, my family. Good morning and happy birthday to you. And as well, I got to give a birthday shout out this morning, going all the way across to Suriname. Anya Blankendal, good morning and a happy birthday to you, coming from the Tobago Updates family. You know, we're connecting in the region, so we had to make sure and remember our persons in and around.
That's right. But we've got some belated birthday greetings as well. Vernice Bascom celebrated her birthday yesterday, so happy belated going out to you, my dear. God's continued blessings upon you. Dariella Balfour and Everton Grant celebrated their birthday. Albert Grant as well. So happy belated birthday going out to you guys. Today, my good friend Nikisha Melville, all the way from Delaford, Tobago. Delaford, love going out to you this morning, Nikisha, on your birthday today. Jamila Amenbakas, who happens to be one of our guests on the program this morning, celebrated her birthday in fine style yesterday, celebrating her 60th. But I'm not going to sell out anything.
I think it's safe to say Lady Bacchus.
At this point, it's Lady Bacchus. She was all over. So I called her last night. I said, girl, you have social media hot. You know, so happy belated birthday going out to you. I think she's going to be celebrating all month long.
I know, that kind of energy. She deserves it. She deserves it.
Definitely. As well, a shout out to my Auntie Helen and Uncle Vincent, all the way in Grenada, who do not miss the program. Good morning, Auntie Helen Williams, Uncle Vincent Williams. Good morning, and love going out to you guys. Auntie Lorna and Peter out there in Trinidad. Love going out to you guys as well.
We've got an interesting lineup this morning.
I tell you.
This morning, in our first segment, we will be chatting with Gary Griffith, former police commissioner of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and we'll be having a little conversation regarding the protest that took place yesterday. And I think we had some persons coming out, concerns with all these regulations coming in terms of vaccination and insisting on vaccinations through the government. So there was a protest that took place. Some say a little protest, some say a major protest. What we know for sure is that it was a coming together of many that took place yesterday, and that pushed back. So we're going to be chatting with Gary Griffith, former police commissioner, to give us some insight. And who else do we have on the rundown this morning?
We are chatting with Marilyn David, the THA Executive Coordinator for the Office of the Minority Leader. And Mr. David will be on our program as he talks about the 10-point COVID-19 mitigation plan that we heard from the Minority Leader just yesterday, revealing some of the ideas and suggestions towards curbing the COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, and then we continue this morning chatting with a retired teacher of Signal Hill Secondary School, 24 years of the teaching service, Lady Jamila Bacchus. So we look forward to that interview as we chat with her to get a sense of how has these years been, but more importantly, what can we look forward to in the coming years as she transitions into retirement.
And then a little bit later on, we will be chatting with Donald Miggins, a veteran fisherman, captain of the Fidonald, that's the name of the boat, the Fidonald, and he'll be chatting with us on the importance of specialized training for fishermen.
All right, and we wrap this morning with Sade Titus, owner of Snaggle, and she'll be chatting about sweet like Snaggle. So we look forward to hearing about that. Really, you never know, there might be a taste or something in between.
We can only hope.
Viewers, at this point, we want to remind you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Good morning, good morning, put a smile on your...
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:10 a.m. and this is the Tobago Updates morning show. We're coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, we are chatting with Gary Griffith, former police commissioner. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning to you.
And how are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Hi, thank you.
All right.
morning.
So this morning we get straight into the discussions. We would have seen some major action happening yesterday in relation to protests and similarly a fight back or rather a reaction from the police to the extent of tear gas, etc. We want to get a sense of, based on your experience, what would normally warrant that kind of response from the TTPS?
Well, yeah, good morning again. Well, there is something called a minimum use of force policy. You have to use that force as much as possible, only if it is warranted. In a situation, sometimes it is a judgment call based on the person who is on the ground, and therein lies the problem. If, for example, the head of the Guard and Emergency Branch is involved in a situation with crowd control, and he makes a decision to tear gas persons, but then a couple of weeks later, he might be the head of the interagency task force, and he may make another judgment call. People will say it's being biased. What I did is I formed a policy that anytime you have a situation to the use of tear gas, it must come from the office of the Commissioner of Police. That will avoid a difference in opinion. And therein lies the problem. I am a no-nonsense person when it comes to the law. But again, there must be that situation where persons must have the right to protest. It is your right. I continue to state in 3 years, at no time did I ever stop anyone protesting. What I said is that you must apply to the police service for permission. If they did not do that, so they started on the wrong foot. Having said that, however, you have to analyze the situation. Now, had I been Commissioner of Police, just as you would have seen in Black Lives movement and when they had the candlelight vigil, I would have been on the ground monitoring the situation and making that judgment call. You can't just hope that you will just stay from home and you put the problem on other heads to make that decision. Because what we're seeing now, just a few weeks ago in Abu Bakr's funeral, there were probably 2 times that number of persons. And the police said, well, because of the situation, they decided not to escalate it, so they allowed the funeral to continue with 500-600 persons. when we looked at the situation in Beetham just a few days ago, where persons were blocking the road, burning tires, inconvenienced over 100,000 persons, and they were there on the spot. There was no such situation by the police. So you have to be very careful as to how you make decisions, because people may see it as being political interference and being directed. And that, I hope that is not the case. But again, as I said, when I was Commissioner of Police, when it was the Black Lives Matter movement in the Savannah, the Candlelight Vigil, you have to put some degree of flexibility. And in that situation, my personal view is I may not have done that because of the fact that this was not just situated with certain individuals breaking the law. You had children, you had women, you had elderly persons, you had members of the media. The tear gas could get into vehicles and affect persons whilst they were driving. So you need to be very careful in making such decisions.
Now, we heard all that you said there, Mr. Griffith, but my question is, how would you describe that protest that we saw yesterday? And there's footage on the screen even as we speak. Yes, we saw the crowd coming together. We saw police. Some may say that their actions were a bit harsh, and you just spoke to that issue. But how would you describe the situation that we saw yesterday?
Well, again, people are being frustrated. There's some obvious plan that is afoot of some type of civil disobedience or unrest that continues to grow and escalate. The police service, they have to be very careful as to how they deal with these situations. Because again, going back to, if we look at the Savannah situation, from what I heard is that they decided that they were not going to ask the police for permission and everyone will stay 6 feet apart. Now looking at the distance that you're seeing there in comparison to Abu Bakr's funeral, and I'm not saying that Abu Bakr's funeral, they should have put tear gas. But my point being is that you cannot, there's a saying, you cannot be half pregnant. You can't say that we allowed Abu Bakr's funeral to continue with 2 times more persons that were condensed tighter than the Savannah yesterday, and you allow that. But then this happens here, and it seems that it is a protest against the government, and then you make a statement to show that there's a deliberate intent to break the law.
But so, if you had to describe it in one word, what would you say? What word would you use?
Civil disobedience. I think that is it, and that is where the police service, the police service cannot allow people to break the law. But in the same manner, you have to look at every situation on a case-by-case basis. We certainly do not want Trinidad and Tobago to be for someone to say, well, if that is the case, the law is the law, and you must adhere to the law, because then you could look at Tiananmen Square and then say, well, that was justified because everyone was breaking the law. And what happened in Tiananmen Square in 1989? It was obviously escalated in comparison to the Savannah, but it's the same principle. Persons are upset about something, they decide to protest, and yes, the law is being broken, but you have to be very careful how you make these decisions, because if you make that decision with the Savannah, persons will ask, why did you make the same decision in the Beetham protest and also at Abu Bakr's funeral? And that's where I will always speak about the persons, they have their right to protest. I would have gone there immediately, spoken to the individuals, give them a deadline, demand that they space out. Anytime you start pushing and demanding that they must disperse immediately and you tear gas individuals, people are going to start getting the perception that there's some type of government interference, and that is the last thing you want for persons to believe that the police can be controlled by a government directive.
All right. Gary, tell us something this morning. We are seeing a situation where the government is moving towards the direction it has been now deferred to February with regards to mandatory vaccination for public officers, state officers, etc. How do you see this affecting the police service, particularly given the fact of the large numbers that are still unvaccinated?
Yeah, well, just looking at over 30 police officers have died. I would like to take this opportunity to remind the country the police service should be commended. You look at all these things at the end of the year and giving all these awards to everyone in the health agency and so forth. In this situation, in comparison to other countries where police officers have abandoned their posts, they have been very violent and aggressive with other citizens. We have not seen one police officer going absent. We have not seen police officers being aggressive in any way in comparison to other countries. And instead of the police being commended, they should each be given a medal for what they have achieved. We are not seeing it. We see people continue to criticize the police service and the officers. These guys and women, they go out every day, not knowing if they will be coming back home and bringing back something that can affect their families. And that is where it is very difficult. So I would continue to push the envelope, not on it being mandatory, but continue to persuade each and every police officer to be vaccinated, because obviously that is going to play a big part towards minimizing the number of police officers that we continue to lose from COVID. And hope that communication and dialogue becomes the order of the day, because this is all part of politics and leadership. If you impose something on persons without proper dialogue, they are going to resist, they are going to retaliate, as we have seen yesterday. I'm not saying it is the right thing, But at times, as a leader, communication and dialogue and persuasion can be a much better tool than trying to impose persons.
Would the police strength be sufficient, Gary Griffith, if the numbers were really reduced under the circumstances to be able to deal with the challenges we currently face in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, the police service have been left with no choice. If you recall, 2 years ago, when we had a situation with Black Lives Matter, there was a time where in one morning, over 35 roads were blocked with tire and debris. We had over 200 persons walking down Frederick Street with bottles and pieces of iron to destroy Port of Spain, like what happened in 1990. And the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, that is a time where all arms of the protective services will rally together. There was not one person in any other agency other than the police service that they were able to do every single thing. Within minutes, we were able to shut down the debris and burning of the tires from 35 different places. In contrast to Beatham last week, that took several hours. We were able to stop hundreds of persons coming into Port of Spain without any violent confrontation. It shows the professionalism of the police service if there's proper leadership. So regardless of what the situation is, I will always continue to insist that the defense force, that is a powerful arm to support and complement the police service in such time, should be utilized much more. They are willing to, they are ready to, but the politicians that do not see that, they don't see it fit. When last have you seen a state of emergency and not one member of the defense force came in to support the police service? Because they figured that because of the police service operating so well, so efficiently, there's no need for that. But there is. The officers are tired. They have been going since November 2019, since the local government election, and they've continued non-stop. And it is hard, it is difficult, but it shows their dedication to duty. And it is hope that the powers that we understand that the other arms of the protective services, they are there and they are available and should be supporting and complementing the police service in such trying times.
All right, let's talk a little bit here, Gary Griffith, about government's new legal notice changing the process for selection of a commissioner of police. Any thoughts on that? We'd like to hear your thoughts.
Sure. Okay. Well, a quick one on this. Up to now, no member of the media has asked the government, why did you scrap the merit list? And that is amazing in a situation that, and it shows this should not be about Gary Griffith, because I was just on another station. Should I reapply? Would I reapply? Let's take Gary Griffith out of the equation. What we have seen is total abuse of authority legally, because we have a flawed constitution. And when I say a flawed constitution, we have a constitution that allows a government to handpick a president, who will then handpick PSC members, government that can handpick speakers of the House, president of the Senate, commissioners of police, chief of defense staff. And when you do that, it gives you such authority that you can see, look, I got a merit list from a so-called independent body, and because I did not like the results, I will just form a legal notice to scrap the previous merit list, send it to the president, who will rubber stamp it because she was appointed by us. And that shows the importance for constitutional reform in this country. Because suppose I reapply, doesn't mean that every time I reapply or somebody applies and they come first, the government will scrap the merit list and continue to form a new legal notice because of the easy abuse of the constitution from a local perspective. This, I think, is very unfortunate. But not one member of the media has asked the government, what grounds did you have, on what reason, to scrap the merit list? Because they're the ones who scrapped it, not this PSC. The PSC were left with no choice because the government amended the legal notice to say that the legal notice that caused the first merit list to be established is null and void. So Stuart Young, as the acting Attorney General, slipped in a legal notice, and no one has asked the government on what grounds you had to scrap a merit list that was properly done with no concerns by an independent institution. And these are very difficult times, and it shows the importance for positive change in this country.
All right. Gary Griffith, as we look to wrap this morning's interview, you know, of course, the big question is, will you be putting forward yourself again?
Well, again, the only reason I have done this is really and truly because of service to country. I applied for 3 years as Commissioner of Police. That 3 years, it ended. The Prime Minister then decided to amend the law for me to act as Commissioner. So all of this concern and hullabaloo, it's not that Gary Griffith wants a job. I don't need a job. I only wish that I could serve my country to the best of my ability. There was something that came out, 200,000 views, reapply, and 10% told me to sell doubles or something. So I am still trying. I think the doubles seems to be the most enticing out of all, trying to sell that. So it remains to be seen. What I can say is this is not going to be about me. I will continue to pray. I will continue to speak to my family, and I will continue to take advice from the public to let me know what it is that they want from Gary Griffith to help my country.
So as it stands now, the advice seems to be leaning towards a return to the merit list. Or apply.
Or doubles.
Or doubles.
I highly doubt that background might be definitive of someone that sells doubles. Thank you very much there again, Gary Griffin,
Thank you so
for
much.
joining us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. And we continue to look forward to connecting with you as we deal with issues from time to time within the national space. Thank you very much for joining us in this segment.
My pleasure.
Viewers, this morning, as we continue coming up in the next segment, we will be chatting with Marilyn David, THA Executive Coordinator within the Office of the Minority Leader, and we'll be speaking to the 10-point COVID-19 mitigation plan. We want to remind and thank all of you for the love and support on the live. I'm seeing real energy on the live this morning. Donna Anderson, Steppa McConey Critchlow, Sophia Thomas, I'm seeing Didi Vincent. The energy is very high. There's even some calls for Gary to return to politics. I hope he's still logged on and tuned in. Kevin Dwayne Phillips.
And
I'm seeing Annette Hunt.
And some quick birthday greetings and anniversary greetings coming in here for Nidra Stewart celebrating her birthday. Zuberi Holder, the sister of Ayana Holder, celebrating a birthday as well. Pamela Leslie celebrating her birthday. Pamela Leslie celebrating her birthday and her 67th wedding anniversary. So love going out to you guys.
All right. So we're saying again, shout outs. Good morning, Joel Tate. I see my family in the lineup this morning. Avril Allen, Sophia Thomas, Marva Baker, good morning to you, my very good friend out there. I'm also seeing Miss Merlin Benoit joining in on the live. Thank you all so much for the continued love and support. And we want to remind you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards.
Welcome to Tobago Update Sports. I'm your boy Marcus Daniel. Thank you.
Trinidad and looms
as remains. When
the public is
nobody lives here. Oil and gas exploration continues to affect the livelihood.
Spearsides Marine in Tobago fishermen.
When will the
Sion Francis
Hospital be fully functional?
Of the 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. window at the
treasures like the golden waterfall
to rise in Tobago.
It's a different type of thing down there. Man, we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your...
You can now get whatever.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:27 a.m. this morning, and we are chatting with Marilyn David, THA Executive Coordinator within the Office of the Minority Leader. Yesterday, we would have had the opportunity to see Minority Leader Kelvon Morris present the 10-point COVID-19 mitigation plan as his response, and you'd have seen it come here to you via the Tobago Updates Facebook page in terms of putting the information out there. And on set with us this morning to have the conversation, just to enlighten us a little further, is Marilyn David, THA Executive Coordinator. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Julian. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
All right. How are you feeling generally in terms of, let's put it all together before we even get into the 10-point plan, the ability of the minority at this time to be able to present some projections, some suggestions, some ideas in terms of how we should move forward?
Well, I think what we need to look at first is that many persons have no appreciation for what a minority council, or in the broader sense, the opposition does. And because of the term opposition, we normally hear people simply saying that the role of the opposition is just to oppose. However, when you understand that governance is critical to have the function of a minority council or an opposition within the framework, then you know that based on what is written, opposition party in government literally assists the whole governance framework. They act as an advocate on behalf of many persons who may share different opinions and different views. And so it's critical for every governmental system to have an active opposition. And in the case of the THA, we have the Minority Council here. So I think that we need to do some more public education so that the role of the Minority Council is spread greater and wider so that people could actually appreciate when things are brought to the table.
Now, one of the things I must ask, is this a case, tell me about the work or efforts. I know there was references to making the necessary consults in terms of medical personnel and so to provide the requisite support in terms of coming up with these identified issues as well as proposed recommendations for being able to treat with them. The question is that people would ask, and it ties in just to what you have said, is this just an opportunity to show things up or is this that the genuine work would have gone in and the need was felt that this document and this information is critical going into that projected meeting which the minority leader requested as well as which the chief secretary confirmed will take place?
Well, I think, Julian, we need to move beyond the realm of politics. The minority leader would have indicated very early on that one of the things that he wants to make clear is that he will not simply oppose for opposing's sake. And we are in a time now that is not only negatively impacting Trinidad and Tobago, but we're in a time where we're seeing global impact on a real negative scale. And so the efforts that have gone in here are literally efforts where we intend to mitigate against life and death circumstances. And I really want us to come to terms with that as an island. We are in a time where this is no time for us to be playing games. And so when you look through the 10-point plan, and this is by no way exhaustive, but these are the first areas that we want to conscientiously bring to the table of discussion where we believe from our end, based on our consultations and so on, that we can now begin to ramp up some of these areas so that we can see our population protected during this time.
So for the benefit of those who have not seen the videos yet, start walking us through some of the identified issues in terms of the 10-point plan. And perhaps, given in the interest of time, we might be able to discuss what you consider to be some of the key ones.
Okay, so firstly, we would have recommended in terms of the area we saw in terms of identification of positive cases. One of the things we're looking to see the administration do more is the community-based rapid testing. Now, this would help us to identify cases quicker and so be able to address and curb the community spread. We looked at the isolation issue, and we're saying that we want to begin to partner with the accommodation sector to provide COVID location centers where there's greater room for isolating patients and so forth. And the areas that we're looking at especially are the vulnerable. We have a lot of elderly in Tobago who live alone. And God forbid these elderly get the virus. Many times there's no one who can really truly assist them in terms of the day-to-day. So that is something that we want to be able to open a conversation on as well. In terms of inoculation, we want to look at introduction of a community-based and incentive program where we educate to inoculate. So it's like education to vaccinate. Many persons are still hesitant because they do not have the information. And though there are a group of individuals who are anti-vaxxers, what we're saying is that we need to continue to educate the population so that by and by persons can get on board. We want to look at the issue of mental health. And we're saying that we want to see a community-based psychosocial intervention and outreach program. This is to treat with mental health issues. And I can say, from personal experience, that the issue of mental health in this time is really a critical one. And we need to look at it currently in terms of what we see now, and then as we come out post-COVID, and I'm not saying that COVID is going to go away, but persons, as life goes back to what we see as a semblance of normalcy, it is something that we need to address critically. We also looked at the critical care in terms of establishing a COVID care center at the old hospital with progressive standard operating procedures to ensure timely medical intervention. And the key word here is timely. One of the things that in conversation with some of the medical practitioners is that some persons may have been able to be assisted had there been a more timely response to their situation. We want to look at the social support during quarantine, and this is one that we deem very, very critical. We want to be able to build out a roving social services unit to provide support for quarantined persons to execute basic functions. And those functions will include things like food support, going to the supermarket and simply purchasing groceries. Some people don't have anybody to do that, and so it prompts them to break their quarantine period, pay their bills, purchase medication at the pharmacy. And one that we're seeing even more now is for the support for funeral arrangements. Some persons are literally quarantined while their loved ones are being buried, and that can be very traumatic. We looked at the issue of communication of information, and what we're recommending is that we develop a COVID-19 rapid response unit to specifically improve the flow of information between testing units, contact tracing units, monitoring units, and the patients. We seem to be having some gaps, and it must be attributed to the fact that our healthcare workers are indeed under a lot of pressure. And so in our recommendation, we are saying that let's try to build out that particular information so that and most likely and most importantly, the patient benefits from an improved system of care. We're looking at COVID education. We want to say that we can look at partnering with the Division of Education to include an online learning platform, mandatory infomercials, educating children. We want to see the reopening of school, and we want to have our children, as they go out to school, very much aware about the protocols. We want to look at treatment methods, introducing an online platform to make preliminary care available at your fingertips so that patients now, upon their symptom identification, can go online and get that conversation started even before visiting a health facility. And finally, in terms of this 10-point plan, we're looking at labor policies, and we want to look at developing and implementing a remote workforce policy for all staff at THA divisions. Now, this is something that first world, and I don't like the term, but it is what it is, first world countries have implemented long before COVID, where they have gotten to a place where you remunerate persons with their salary, not because they turn up, but because of their production level. They produce, they perform. And so we're saying, coupled with the COVID protocols, we want to be able now to develop this policy where you don't have to come into the office, but you have a proper performance management system in place where people have been given tasks, they have been set objectives and goals, timelines, and so it makes it easier for one to work in the comfort of your home, supervise your children who are still at home, and still get the job done.
Well, Marilyn, you know, you have identified a number of areas there, but of course we winding down with time for the interview. But you are not the minority leader, but you are sitting in the chair this morning. And obviously, before we wrap this morning's interview, one of the tough questions that you're required to answer is, some members of the public are making the point that the minority leader, Assemblyman Kelvon Morris, is not totally new to the politics. He would have been there from January when there was a 6-6 division where people saw the situation as the former Secretary of Health within his administration struggling in terms of managing the overall. The question is, where were these suggestions at that time within that period, and not simply now bringing them out? Where's the variation there?
Well, I think, Julian, as I began the conversation, No, it's as I began the conversation, and I think that oftentimes we focus in the wrong place. We're in the midst of a time where we're seeing between 700 to 1,000 people dying in this country on a monthly basis. And my question is it that we want to focus on what would have been, what could have been, and what should have been, or we really want to focus on saving the lives of these persons, and not just their lives, but also bringing some sort of relief to the families who may have experienced, extreme grief in some circumstances. And for those persons who have been contracting the virus, the spread has been, remarkable. Is it that we are more concerned about creating an issue, or is it that we are concerned about solving the problem?
Responded like a technical officer there. You left it for the politicians, but that's fine. We want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. And my information is that we should have a commitment coming up later on in the week or into next week to be hearing from minority councillor as well, and eventually the minority leader on these projections. So folks, have no fear. Marilyn has set the tone for you. He has given us a sense of the 10-point area as per the plan presented by minority leader, and there will be further discussions as we go forth to be able to drill down and get into things even further as we seek to really look towards the combined effort to fight this COVID-19 pandemic within the Tobago space. Viewers, as we prepare to go to the break, we want to remind you, coming up in the next segment, we have retired teacher of Signal Hill Secondary, as I have dubbed her this morning, Lady Jamila Bacchus, and she will be interviewed by Rhea George coming up in the next segment. We want to thank all of you for the continued love and support we're seeing on the live. Thank you as well to those of you joining us via Gael as well as M&ETV. Folks, we want to remind you, those of you online, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
You need whenever you need it, anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping, all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, Tobago. It is 7:42 in the morning, and we are live from the Scarborough Fishing Depot, where I am here with veteran fisherman who has been fishing for over 30 years, going on close to 40 years, Mr. Donald Miggins, on board his vessel, the Donald. Now, earlier this week, or last week, I should say, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine would have announced to Tobago and the nation that one of the things that they're planning to do for the fishing industry is to launch training, specifically training in diving and so on. Now, we also had the All Tobago Fishing Association stating that they do not believe that diving for fishermen is a priority at this point in time. However, Mr. Donald Miggins has a different view. So good morning, a special Tobago good updates. Good morning to you, Mr. Donald. How are you doing?
Ma'am. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, great. So first of all, what are your views on the idea of the THA launching diving for fishermen in the first instance of their tenure?
Well, I'm happy that they've made this decision. And it's not diving alone. They said training. And that training, I understand, has to do with safety at sea for fishermen. And that is required like last year. In the case of diving, I don't agree with those who do not believe that it's important. It's very important. For example, people with boats like mine, we come into contact with obstacles in the ocean, ropes, fishing gear, and stuff like that, which get into your prop. When that happens, you either have to call ashore, get a diver to come out. In my case, I've had divers leave their home 5 o'clock in the morning to come out to my vessel to clear the debris from between the prop. That costs a lot of money. If the one that I use, he does not charge me, but I can't keep using him all the time for free. In some cases, these things happen when you're 30 miles offshore. And if you don't have radio contact or telephone contact, then you find yourself in trouble. You have to send down a crewman. He does free diving. It's dangerous for him to do that free diving in that depth of water, current pulling hard, that sort of thing. If you have a diving tank on board, then you could strap the crewman to the boat. He's tied to the boat. He goes down with his tank. He takes his time because he can breathe properly. He doesn't have to go on a fight to come back out, and then, he goes under there, clear it, and you're good to go.
Right.
So, not only in those instances, even the pirogue men, they have moorings. They moor the boats offshore. And lots of times you have instances where a boat or two would come ashore if the sea's rough. These are instances where you don't get warning, the rough sea warning does not come in, or it's not going to be dangerously rough. But a boat or two do come ashore. And those boats come ashore because they would have been chafing on the mooring rope. And because you're not inspecting it, because it's a tiring exercise to do free diving, then that's why these boats come ashore. Now, if you have guys in the village who could dive, a few of the fishermen, they could check the moorings often, make sure that they're okay, and you don't have these cases where we lose boats.
Right. And do you think it's a priority right now? Because what the ADFA is saying is that, yes, learning to dive is important for fishermen, but maybe that's not the thing that the THA should start with.
No, I'm not going to defend the THA. But these guys have just come in. They had a retreat where they were planning for the future, and there are things that they need to do immediately. And one of the most important things in any sphere of operation is training. And I think they did the right thing to focus on training when we have a situation where we lose fishermen every year. And they're lost because they lack training. So if they, and remember, they're saying for the first 3 months, we're going to focus on training. If they had gone to that retreat and come back with nothing for fishermen, we would have been bawling all over the place that they don't care about us. So they did something. They said, okay, we're going to focus on training for you. But then the next thing I expect to happen is for the House of Assembly to meet with the fishing community to discuss what else is needed to drive the industry forward.
Well, the fishing industry and the THA, the fishing stakeholders, I should say, and the THA have been at odds in the last few years especially. Do you see that relationship getting better as we go forward and we work towards making the fishing industry better in Tobago?
Oh, let me put it this way. The people who run ATFA have been at loggerheads with the House of Assembly, with the previous administration, and in many cases unnecessarily so. We can make progress if we work with the House of Assembly and not be fighting them down for fighting them down's sake, because that's how it looks like to me. I used to be on the executive of ATFA, and I've always advocated that we talk with the House of Assembly. We have dialogue with them, and there should be no hostility. And this is one of the reasons that I walked away, because ATFA appeared at that time to be political and taking sides. It was as though it was a party group. Now, I am hoping that the same thing does not continue with the new House of Assembly. I'm hoping that well, the thing about it is that there is a very large number of fishermen who are not members of ATFA. So the House of Assembly will have to be careful in dealing with the fishing community, because there are some who claim that they represent the fishing community, and that is not so. So, with guidance from the Fisheries Division, I would expect that the new administration will interact with all the players, and we can discuss what we would like to see happen within the industry to get a kickstart, because we're virtually non-existent right now, the fishing industry.
Of course. So looking ahead, what is perhaps some of the next steps that you think that the THA should take in helping making the fishing industry better?
Okay. It is my belief that Tobago needs a modern fish port. And this fish port must be built along the lines of HACCP as well as ISO. HACCP is the North American standard, which is something called Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. In applying that, it's a system that is applied to make sure that you don't have contamination of your product. That's in simple terms. It's a system set up so that you avoid contamination. The European standard is ISO. Tobago is ideally placed for such a plant, because when you set up this plant, you invite these people from North America and Europe to come, the inspectors come and they inspect it. And once they approve it, then we will be able to export fish, sea products, from Tobago to North America and Europe. Right now, Trinidad and Tobago cannot send stuff to Europe because we do not meet the ISO standard. But if we in Tobago do it, I'm positive that we could export stuff to it. So we need a plant like that. Now, I do not believe there's anybody in Tobago who has money, who's interested in the fishing industry.
Right.
So that has to be set up by the Assembly. When they set it up, they could lease it to an individual, a company, or a co-op. And it must be run as a business. They shouldn't get this idea that fishermen must run it. It has to be run as a business. Fishermen was catch fish. That's what we should do. Go out there, bring in the fish, have it exported.
Okay, great.
Now, this plant could be set up in any part of Tobago. And as I said before, if they want to set it up in Charlottesville or Kings Bay, we would be very happy because of the type
as
of
something
vessels.
is
Yes.
set.
Well, the thing about it too, what I'd like to point out is that there are dozens and dozens of boats that go into Chaguaramas on a daily and nightly basis to offload. And I'm aware that a lot of those guys, if Tobago has a facility, they would rather come here because it shortens the run to Trinidad and there'll be less congestion, of course, initially.
Right.
Because eventually it would inspire fishermen in Tobago, we want a boat like that. When they see the amount of fish that the boat is those boats bring in, and they fish in international waters, because Trinidad and Tobago does not have that quantity of fish in the stock. So they go in international waters, and we will also be able to go into the international waters.
Okay, great. Well, Mr. Miggins, I just want to thank you so much for speaking with us and for having me aboard your vessel. It's been a pleasure hearing your view, and we hope we can have more conversations in the future. So, folks, that's it from me, Candace Jackson, at the Scarborough Fishing Depot. It is back to you in Studio Ria.
Thank you so much there, Candace. And viewers, welcome back. And of course, we encourage you this morning to continue to share the live, share the live, share the live. We're chatting this morning on the program with Jamila Amin-Bacchus. It is our pleasure to have this lady on the program. She's a retired teacher attached to the Signal Hill Secondary School with 24 years of teaching service. Yesterday, she celebrated her birthday just last week. She walked out of the compound for, we would say, for the last official day as she retired on Friday. Good morning and welcome to you this morning, Ms. Bacchus.
Good morning, Ria. Good morning to Tobago.
It is a pleasure to have you on our program. I mentioned your birthday yesterday, but you put it out there on social media. 60 years, viewers, 60 years. Now, 60 never looked any better than this, okay?
Thank you.
All right. No, and mind you, viewers, when she came in, you know, our floor manager was adjusting the collar to her shirt, and she said, no, it's supposed to be up. So it's not putting it down. And I think this outfit this morning is courtesy
Villa Belfort.
Yeah. Let's put it out there, okay? We're talking about some serious Tobago talent. Now, Ms. Bacchus, you chatted on a live yesterday, over an hour long, about some of the things that you'd been through. And I guess now that you are retired, you are in a position to speak on certain issues that you would have experienced throughout your 24 years of teaching. I would say 24 plus years of teaching, because even within a given year, you did almost double time, okay?
On some occasions.
Right. So let's talk about some of the limitations. You're a woman, but you faced a lot of adversity early on in your life that could have turned things in a different direction.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, I put it out very early, and I have not really made a secret of it, because I believe, you know, you do not do things to yourself. Things are done to you, and so I was a victim, so to speak. I'm no longer a victim, but I was raped. I was molested as a child, and so and then I would have experienced certain challenges in terms of you know, having access to certain things as a young child and so on. Now, my parents, I would always say my mother did extremely well in terms of trying to manage what she had, but the reality is we did have challenges as a child. So I'm saying that, and I said that on the live, to say some of the background to Jamila Amin-Bacchus and why I have been the kind of teacher that a lot of people out there are speaking about in a positive way. Those things would have informed me and would have helped me when I interacted with my students, when I interacted with parents, when I interacted with my fellow teachers. Yes.
All right. Now, and I hear what you're saying. In terms of where your life could have been, and I mean, you branched out into teaching, you did double time, you spoke about some of the things that you've been involved in. Let's talk about the lives of your students and the impact that you would have had on them. And you've been doing this for a number of years. And I mean, we've chatted with some of your students and they've had all sorts of stuff to say about you. But what sort of impact would you say that you have had on their lives?
Well, I think they would have to say what impact. But from my perspective, you know, my students, I saw in my students many different things. Some who were vulnerable, some who, you know, needed guidance. I loved my male students so much, you know, because so many times I think as a society we really don't focus on our males, especially those who are struggling. And one of the things one of the areas I really tend to focus on would be the students who are struggling. I often lean towards, and I always tell them, anytime a child comes into my class and I realize they're giving me this opposition and they are you know, given what we call trouble, I look at that as a challenge, that this person, something is happening in this person's life. And some of the students who have come very close to Akel, Franklin, and Melissa Williams, I speak about them all the time, those two weren't any piece of cake, you know. Melissa came in my class with real attitude, you know. Shanice Dan also came in. But, you know, and so I've had these students who I've had to work with. I always look at my students, as I said, the backdrop that I would have had helped me, because so many times, especially at the secondary school level, students may have gone through things in their lives. And sometimes they don't have anywhere to let it out. And so sometimes based on, you know, how they are perceived, they hold it in. And sometimes they come into the classes and they're in the school and they're exhibiting certain behaviors and so on. And we could easily attribute it to, you know, they are bad and they're... But when you peel away that top layer, there's such a beautiful person below there. And I've always tried to reach into that. I think a lot of students are craving persons to really go the extra mile. Teaching is not just teaching content. We don't teach subjects, we teach children, we teach people. And teachers, as teachers, you know, that's one of the things I think we need to appreciate. Yes, we are there, we have our content knowledge and so on. We want to teach all these different, you know, learning styles and so on, but at the end of the day, we are teaching people. We are developing a society. You know, education is the bedrock of a society, and if we don't do it right with our students, then our society is going to suffer. And that is what we are seeing sometimes in some instances where you are seeing things in the society that you don't like. But it has to start with education.
Now, one of the things that, and my daughter, when my eldest daughter passed through your hands, and one of the things that you said many years ago was, if it does not get monitored, it does not get done. For those parents out there who do not understand what that means, could you explain it very quickly for them? Because I think it's a motto that every household, every parent, every teacher should adopt.
Well, if you know, I must say, Miss Wendy Batiste Henry is one person who believes in that, and she has always been saying that, so I guess I would have also adopted that. As I said in my live yesterday, I am the sum of many people, so what I bring to the table is not just Jamila Amin Bacchus. As I go along, I got from this, I got from that, I got from the other people. We are all influenced, and we can all influence. And so Wendy has always been saying this. You know, in Trinidad, you find there's a different focus on education. A lot of parents are very enthusiastic about their child's performances and so on. They'll come to the school, they'll call you, they will seek out extra classes and so on. Here in Tobago, sometimes there's a kind of laid-back mentality where parents and you know, persons, caregivers are involved in their children's life. PTA meetings, you have to beg parents to come out. A school of 900 and something, you barely get in 100 parents. And you know, and now we are online, we are having great difficulty sometimes in having parents involved in their children, so that, you know, because it's difficult as teachers to really reach in to that child who is behind the screen. Sometimes we don't know what's happening. They're behind the screen. So parents and caregivers need to be involved and need to not just take this child side. There need to be a tripartite relationship between the parent, the child, and the teacher.
All right. Now, after all your 24 years plus, and we said 24, but it's really over 50 years because you were doing double time.
Yes.
What would you like to say to your students and even to the teachers that you're leaving behind at Signal Hill Secondary?
Well, I would tell my students that, you know, you are precious. You are a gift. I teach biology, so, and Mr. King would tell you, I always make the point, out of how many billions of cells, sperm cells, one sperm cell and one egg that made you came together. Out of billions, your potential brothers and sisters may have been flushed down the drain.
Yeah.
You were unique. You are special. If you think you are not a winner, just think about that. You won a race. That sperm won a race to make you. You are special. You were born princes and princesses. You were born into royalty, especially in Tobago. Our Tobago students need to know you have come to this place on the backs of many people who have struggled for what we take for granted. Education is something in certain times people didn't have it. And too often we don't appreciate what we get. My family was very poor. Education have carried us places. All my siblings are throughout the world, and they're doing well throughout the world through education. And education, as I continue to say, is the bedrock. To my teachers, I'll say, give your all, give your best. Yes, I know, in terms of the unions, in terms of, you will say, this is where your job starts and this is where it ends. But my thing is not, we are not just accountable to a division of education, to a principal. We are accountable to God.
Yeah.
He has given us this, this gift of being able to impact lives, to being able to mold and change directions of lives. And that is a gift that is precious.
Yeah.
Okay? So go out there. Induct to the Division of Education, please implement a program of induction and mentorship. We need to reach teachers as they come in. We need to guide them. There must be, that is part of our problem sometimes when it doesn't start right.
Yeah.
It may not end right.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for that. But there's another reason why you're here on the program this morning. There's another reason why you're here on the program this morning. There's another reason why you're here on the program this morning. Viewers, I think we might need a couple tissues, a box of tissues. Yeah, these are, these, I'm trying not to cry here, Jamila, I'm trying. These are some of Ms. Bacchus's students from Signal Hill. And we spoke with them on Friday, and thanks to Davina over there in the black and white, Davina was able to rally just a few of them because a lot of them are leaving to go off to study from tomorrow. But they wanted to come on the program and do something special. I mean, they've been surprising her all weekend long. You see, that's the culprit over there. That's Davina Nelson and all of them. Look at all these faces here. They're all in on it. All right?
Really?
Yeah, really. But they have something special that they want to do for you today. So go ahead.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to make one correction.
Yeah.
We are representing many schools in Tobago.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of us attended H&T Academy, and some of us came from other schools and then went to Signal Hill just for Miss Bacchus. Some of us didn't get Miss Bacchus, so we went there for her, but still, she showed us love, right?
Yeah.
So, your retirement has made everyone value you ever more. It has made us appreciate the way you strengthened our cause. You're not just retiring from your post, position, or role. You're retiring as a teacher who inspired our souls.
Wow.
With honesty and dedication, you pledged to protect and serve. Using courage and compassion, your community you did preserve. So, Ms. Bacchus, may the years of your retirement be rich, rewarding, and kind. and may there be no limit to the happiness I'm certain that you will find.
You've worked extremely hard. You've come this far. I hope you know just how blessed you are. To new tomorrows and brand new plans, all of them are in God's hands.
You'll have more hours in the day to hope, dream, rest, bake or play. You'll find new ways to be inspired. Congratulations, Miss Bacchus, you've retired.
Thank you so much, guys. And
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And they've got something else there. Okay.
I'm gonna pull down the
This
thing
is.
and
You don't worry about it. You don't worry about it. This is your day, Jamila Ammon Bacchus. This is your day. If you ever watch Sesame Street here, this is your day. So, go ahead. Do you have the mic? Yeah. We all want to hear what you guys have to say.
She was at dinner with me last night.
They set you up. They
Really?
did. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And they're really good.
They put me up at Magdalena for, oh my gosh, these people are wonderful. They are so wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Ms. Bacchus, on behalf of all of us here, and by extension, all the students that you would have taught, we want to thank you tremendously for your years of contribution. I know that you can look back and you've retired, and you can say to yourself that you have significantly contributed to society. We have all stepped out there and taken our positions, and we are making you proud. So we just want to tell you that we love you and we appreciate you. And I cannot stop telling you that because I know the contribution that you would have made to me personally. And I love you more than anything in this life, right? I want to wish you... I want to wish you all the best on your next step in life. I know that you are not going to give this education system a rest. I know that you would be around. And we thank you again, and may you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you. Guys, this is Dr. Melissa Williams Reed. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you.
Come on, go ahead, guys.
Thank you.
This was absolutely beautiful. And we were happy to be able to do this on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Guys, thank you so much for choosing us. All right, so viewers, thank you for joining us for this beautiful segment. This was absolutely lovely. And Jamila, what do you have very quickly here, less than 30 seconds before we go to our next interview?
I just want to tell teachers, you know, what you give out, you get back, and you get back tenfold. You know, I have been experiencing so much over the weekend, and I'm just thankful. My heart is full. Yes, I'm overwhelmed.
And someone said on the live, here to give you your flowers while you are your roses while you're still alive. And this, what your students have done here, that's exactly it. What they did Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Tobago.
Thank you so much. Viewers, thank you so much. We continue to encourage you this morning to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
This day in Tobago history. Did you know that the last Tobago Carnival to be launched since the start of the pandemic occurred on the 17th of January 2020? Was the 17th of January 2020? According to Tobago Festivals Commission's Facebook page, 2 years ago today, Tobago Carnival 2020 was officially launched. The launch was an eclectic and electric parade through the streets of Scarborough that saw the director of the Festivals Commission dressed in a full spacesuit. The colorful commotion included speech band artists, kings and queens of the band, Moko Jumbies, minstrels, sailors, black devils, Dame Lorraines, and Pretty Mass, among other things. On a truck leading the procession was Tobago-born soca artist and 2005 Road March winner Sherwin Winchester, singing his catalogue of hits to keep the crowd hyped and engaged. The display came to a head at the front of the Tobago Festivals Commission's office on Wilson Road, Scarborough. Sherwin complimented the children, the various organizers, and sponsors on a job well done. Mr. George Leacock went live from his personal Facebook page, and the event garnered over 5,000 views. Besides the large, gleeful crowd, the parade was able to attract Chairman of the National Carnival Commission, Mr. Winston Gypsy Peters. Mr. Leacock took the podium to kick off the Tobago Carnival season and bring official greetings. He touched on the intended calendar of events for the season. He discussed the 2020 theme for Interdepartment, which was Future Games. He said the event will feature futuristic interpretations of the jobs people do daily in Tobago. The interdepartment competitors were also present and visible at the launch. Leacock stated that the personality segment of the interdepartment show would have 14 competitors, while 11 individuals would compete in the Calypso segment. The competition was held on February 13th at the Dwight York Parade Grounds in Bacalet. You've been watching This Day in Tobago History. My name is Devon Adana. Back to you in studio.
And we trust that you have a really great day.
Same to you.
Bye-bye. Viewers, welcome back again. This is the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting at this time with a good friend of mine, Sade Titus, and Sade is a confectioner and the owner of Snackle. And this morning we are talking about sweet like Snackles. Snackle Confectionaries. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, yeah.
Shade, it's good to have you on the program. I know we worked together in a different time, a different space many years ago.
Yes.
But it's good to have you. Now, since then, you have been, in fact, back then you were doing work with sweets and stuff. Now you have blossomed and you've done all sorts of stuff with sweets and Bene, which is local to Tobago. Yeah, one could say. Yeah. But also you have taken it up several notches.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Well, Snackle Sweets was a brainchild of mine because I did some research on the sweets of Tobago and realized that it had not changed over a matter of about a few hundred years. Right. We, except for sugar cake, which was chip chip before, and and Bennett, from Bennett balls to Bennett sticks. That was the biggest change in the sweets.
That's right.
Yeah. So I decided, why can't we do something to make it more modern, make it more appealing to a certain kind of crowd.
Right.
So I started making fudge in different flavors. I have alcoholic and non-alcoholic flavors of fudge.
Julian would have enjoyed that here this morning. You said alcoholic fudge?
Yes,
Ooh,
yes.
Julian.
Bailey's is our biggest seller, but we have Puncha Creme at Christmas time as well. So, and I also do the Tobago, the Bene in different shapes and in people's names, etc., etc.
You recently woke up social media with this Tobago Bene. I think it was a Tobago Bene and a sugar cake Bene. Yeah. So one was in green and one was in the color of the Bene, which is a sort of brown tan. And persons were commenting and right. So this morning, you have a sample of it here, and I see the Tobago updates with the Tobago in the middle. So if you could just lean the plate just a little bit so that we can, we can get a good shot of it. We can get a good shot of it. This is absolutely beautiful, and she's going to chat with us on. Yeah, there you go. Tobago updates with the Tobago in the middle.
Yeah.
Now you can do this for, this morning it's Tobago updates, but you do this with people's names.
Yes,
and
for weddings. Usually it's something that I do specifically for events. So weddings are my biggest seller. So people usually have Mr. and Mrs. So when they come to, after they have their nuptials and they come to their reception, they have Mr. and Mrs.
So you can actually do like a Julian and Laverne.
Yes, I can.
Oh.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And I'm really... I'm really excited to hear about this because, it helps us to plan better.
Yes.
All right? It helps us to put things in place. Now, Shade, you also branch out into some other things as well. Let's talk about that Tobago box that we're seeing over there.
Oh, so we have a Tobago-shaped box that is filled with sweets. This is coming soon to social media or a store near you.
Right.
So I'm just playing with the shape of Tobago, and I know that Tobagonians love their island.
Yes.
And they love to patronize anything that has the shape of Tobago, anything made in Tobago. So I am just really tapping into what our shape and making things sweet, because Tobago is a sweet place to live.
Yes, sometimes too sweet, All right, so these are just some of what you've branched into. So we've got the Bene, the sugar cake, as well as the fudge.
Yes, I make all sorts of sweets, jub as well, marshmallows from scratch.
Things we have not seen or heard of in eons.
Yeah, I make them from scratch. I even learned to make mint, but I don't make it because of the heat that's involved, which is another reason why I started making this stuff like this, because I knew when I did my research, I found out that the ladies that make sweets, they usually end up with arthritis in their hands.
Because of the heat involved in the process.
So I was thinking of a way to stop, to keep on the tradition alive without constantly having this heat in our hands.
Okay, now I tell you, you talk about innovative, all right? So what is next for you, Shadi?
What is next, as I said, well, as we speak about things, I want to start promoting more of my chocolate-covered Bene, which also...
Okay, let's talk about the chocolate-covered.
...came third in a competition in Trinidad for innovation in sweets. The chocolate-covered Bene is something that I want to start selling more of, because people seem to enjoy it. We could also have Bailey's covered chocolate Bene. So I would like to learn my chocolate some more so that I could reintroduce chocolate into everything that we do, because Tobago and cocoa,
yeah,
everybody knows us to be, going to hand in hand. So I really want to promote that more as well. So I would like to sell more of my stuff more often. We usually a small bit of people know me and the things that I do, because I don't advertise as much.
You think small people know you? Not after today.
Not after
today. All right, but Shade, I really want to congratulate you. You have taken Bene to the next level, and we really do appreciate, how you have been putting Tobago out there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so thank you so much. So viewers, Julian is going to be back with us in just a little bit. So we encourage you to share the live, share the live, share the live. Julian here. Is Shade staying on? Shade staying on.
Good morning.
So, go ahead.
Good morning. Put a smile on your
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you live here from the Port Mall in Scarborough. All right, and we wrap this morning's segment. I'm looking and I'm getting excited, Rhea.
Nothing on the table has alcohol. She did not bring any of the alcoholic sweets, Julian. So as much as you're looking on, just know that there's no alcohol anywhere apart.
You know, but Rhea, that excitement is for Tobago sweets, because that can give you a natural Tobago kind of high and to enjoy what we have to offer here. Excellent job, Shadi. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Shade was also saying that she has background information on the sweets themselves, a lot of information on how they started, where it came from, etc. You know, so for persons wanting to contact you out there, Shade, how can they?
Well, my number is 7041145, but I'm usually, I respond to my Facebook and my Instagram posts, my page, Snackle Sweets, on Instagram or Facebook. You can find us there.
And spell that snackle, because you know, persons out there will say S-N-A-C-K-L-E. No. Spell that snackle.
S-N-A-Q-Q-L-E.
That's right. That's right. So thank you so much, Julian. Any updates coming in on the live that you want to share before we wrap up?
The energy is crazy out there. People are excited. I suspect quite naturally, what I want to assure the viewers out there, we will taste this for you. We will. We will. But make sure to contact Shade. We will taste this for you, and we will ensure that nothing goes to waste here within our Tobago Update studio. Viewers, the energy has been great this morning. Thank you for your continued love and support. And I'll permit the camera to zoom in for Rhea to close while I begin the tasting with it's cheesecake?
Red velvet cheesecake fudge.
Red velvet cheesecake fudge. Go ahead, Rhea. You can wrap the show.
I tell you. Viewers, we thank you so much for joining us. See, he's already started. Mic down, a sweet in hand. So have a great day, Tobago. Stay safe on the roads. Remember to wear your mask, sanitize, and socially distance yourself. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
And I got my brains, and I'm pretty like my mama. I don't want to pick your brains. I just want the microphone. Take the mask off your face.